Alarms were still echoing, but faint now, like distant thunder that no one cared about anymore. The metal walls were cold. The lights overhead flickered, dying one by one. In the darkness, a woman lay still on the floor of a prison cell. Her name was Kara Voss. At first, she didn't move. Eyes opened slowly, unfocused, blinking hard against the dim red light. The last thing she remembered was the raid. Explosions, screaming, a sudden flash of pain. Then nothing. Now, silence. She sat up slowly, her body stiffed like she hadn't moved in a long time. Her uniform was torn, blood dried across her side. Her muscles ached like fire. She reached up and touched her neck. Her ID chip was gone. Meant one thing. They'd marked her as dead. Kara pulled herself to her feet, shaky and lightheaded. She stumbled to the cell door. It was open. That was strange. Zarn security doors didn't open unless someone told them to. And Zarn guards never forgot. She stepped into the hallway, every nerve on edge. The corridor was silent, empty. Not a single step. Not a single voice. There were scorch marks on the walls, signs of plasma fire. Some doors were melted shut. Others swung open, creaking slightly. The place had been abandoned, but not long ago. She reached a control panel and wiped off the dust. The screen flickered, showing a scrambled feed. Error messages in alien script blinked across it. She tapped a few keys, then froze. The date it had been for years. For years her heart pounded. Earth probably thought she was dead. Her squad was gone. The war had likely moved on without her. But why was the prison empty? Something felt wrong. Not just the silence. Not just the flickering lights. There was something else. A feeling crawling. Under her skin, like being watched, she moved slowly, checking each room. The cells were open. Some were still locked but empty. A few had skeletons. Others were worse. Experiments, maybe. Or torture. The Zarn were known for their cruelty, especially to human soldiers. Then she heard it. A soft whirry noise. Not mechanical, organic almost. She ducked behind a fallen support beam, heart racing. The sound came closer. It's hovering past the hallway. A drone. But not XR. It was spherical, about the size of a basketball. Black metal, with blue glowing lines down the side. It made no noise, except the hum of its stabilizers. And as it passed her, it paused, turned toward her. Kara tensed, hand on her knife. But instead of attacking, the drone projected a small, flickering hologram. Terran identified. Authorized access. Follow. Kara's eyes narrowed. Terran? That meant human. She stood slowly, cautious. The drone didn't move. It just waited. Then it rotated and floated down the hall, stopping every few meters, as if checking to see if she followed. Kara did. The path the drone led her through was unfamiliar. Deeper into the asteroid, into areas not used by the Zarn. She passed old hangars, collapsed tunnels, and one hallway half filled with frozen gas. Eventually, they reached a sealed door, massive, ancient, covered in rust and vines. But at its center was something she recognized. A human military symbol, burned into the metal. The drone hovered close, scanned her, then sent out a signal. The door opened slowly with a painful groan. Inside was darkness. Then lights flickered on one by one, revealing a large chamber. Screens lined the walls. Machines hummed. At the far end, a black terminal came alive, lighting up with code in English. Welcome back, Lieutenant Kara Voss. Her breath caught. This wasn't Zarntech. Yes. Older than the war. Forgotten. Hidden deep in the asteroid. Maybe it was part of a failed outpost. Maybe a secret. Either way, it had survived. Just like her. The screen pulsed again. You have been imprisoned for 4 years. I am Oryx 7. I was built to defend. I remain online. I detected your signal. I woke up. Kara approached, still cautious. Why would a Terran AI be here? Unknown. Records fragmented. Asteroid base compromised. Systems shut down to avoid detection. She leaned on the console, her legs still weak. The Zarn did. They abandoned the place. Negative. Power failure. Security breach. Hostiles departed. Last enemy presence 36 hours ago. They were nearby. If they had left recently, they might return, especially if they saw power returning to this place. Kara looked around. This base might be her only chance. "Can you help me?" she asked. "Yes, power limited, but I can defend this location. I can teach. I can fight." A sound echoed from the hall. Kara spun around. Knife ready. The drone that had led her in returned, but it was shaking. Damaged. Sparks flew from one side. Something had attacked it. Kara rushed out into the hallway. From the door, she found the remains of another drone, this one ripped apart. Scorch marks again. The lights above flickered, and in the reflection of the steel wall, she saw movement. Not a rend. It was taller, thin, insect-like, but wrong. It moved without sound. Crawling upside down along the ceiling, watching, she backed away slowly. It didn't chase, just watched. Then it hissed. High-pitched, like metal tearing through air, and vanished into a vent. She returned to the AI room quickly. Locking the doors behind her? "They're not gone, are they?" she whispered. "Negative," the AI replied. "Something else remains." She sat against the wall, breathing hard. Whatever was left on this asteroid wasn't friendly. It wasn't Zarn. She had survived the worst the galaxy had to offer. And now, something worse had moved into the ruins. But Kara wasn't just a survivor. She was a soldier. If Earth had forgotten her, then she'd make sure they remembered. She looked up at the screens. "We're going to fight back. You and me." The lights flickered in response, almost like a nod outside in the black corridors of the dead prison. Something screeched, and Kara Voss, last prisoner of the asteroid, tightened her grip on her blade. She wasn't alone anymore. She wasn't done fighting. The walls made strange sounds now, static whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. Kara stood still, holding her breath. She wasn't sure if it was the wind moving through old vents or something else. The AI Oryx 7 had locked down the doors, but she knew nothing on this asteroid was truly safe. Kara sat at the console again. The screen flickered with half-broken text. Old Terran military code mixed with damaged files. Some pieces made sense. Then the screen cleared. A new message appeared. Intruder patterns detected in Sector 4. Unidentified, organic-like. Not Zarn. Her eyes narrowed. Not Zarn. She stood up and grabbed a nearby Tula-heavy wrench. For now. The old weapons locker in the corner was locked, and the AI hadn't powered it yet. For now, she had to survive with whatever she could hold in her hand. "Show me," she said. A small panel next to the screen slid open. A round metal device hovered out. It was a recon drone sleek, small and silent. Oryx had activated it. The screen blinked. "Drone online, follow?" The drone moved ahead. Kara followed. They traveled down a long hallway, dusty, metal, dark. Her boots echoed with every step. Some parts were colder than others. The air wasn't fresh. It smelled of rust, rot, and something worse. Something old. They reached a sealed door. The drone paused. A few sparks jumped from its side, and the door creaked open just enough to let them through. Inside was a control room destroyed. Screens broken, chairs melted. Bloodstains on the walls, but no bodies. Then she saw it. Carved into the wall was a single word, scratched deep into metal by claws. "Feed." Kara's heart sank. That wasn't written by the Zarn. She stepped further in, careful not to touch anything. The lights here were dim, but enough to see. On the far side, a metal panel had been torn open. Pipes bent outward. Something big had forced its way through. The drone hovered close and scanned. Unknown life form traveled through here recently. "Psst," Oryx said through the drone. "How big?" Kara asked. 7 feet? Bipedal? Low heat signature? Fast? Kara's grip on the wrench tightened. There were vents all over this sector. Whatever it was, it could move through walls, ceilings, floors. It could be anywhere, and worse, it was smart enough to leave a message. The drone made a sharp noise like a warning. Kara turned fast. Movement. Back in the hall, she rushed to the doorway and peeked out. The hallway was empty. No sound. No light. Just silence. She stepped out slowly, watching every shadow then. A metal clank behind her. She spun too late. A tall, thin creature dropped from the ceiling. It moved fast, so fast she barely saw it. Her wrench swung out. It hit, but not hard enough. The creature hissed, black liquid spraying from the side of its neck. It didn't scream. It didn't run. Just vanished again, crawling into the wall like it was part of it. Kara backed away fast, breathing heavy. The drone floated beside her, flickering now. Back to the core room, she said. Now they ran. Kara slammed the door shut behind them once they were inside the AI chamber. The lock hissed. She dropped the wrench and fell to her knees, heart pounding in her ears. "What the hell is that thing?" she asked. The AI answered. Slowly. Unknown. Likely a bio weapon. Possibly a Zarin experiment. Detected only after power reactivation. So it was hibernating? Correct? She stood, breathing deeply. "We need weapons, real ones." The AI screen blinked twice. Armory. Available. Access now granted. A panel on the far wall opened. Kara walked over and looked inside. 2 old Terran rifles, 3 energy grenades, 1 combat knife, 1 pulse pistol. In a black datapad military grade. Kara took the pistol first. It powered on instantly, humming. Low. She holstered it, grabbed the rifle, and slung it over her shoulder. "Better," she said. Then she picked up the datapad. Its screen turned on. A single folder was saved inside. It was labeled Aurora Project Eyes Only. She looked at the AI. "What is this?" "The reason I exist?" She opened the file. Dozens of logs appeared. Mission files, maps, strange energy readings. She scrolled fast. Then she saw something that made her freeze. A map of the asteroid. With a section marked in red, Quarantine Zone. Do not enter. Kara tapped on it. A short video played. Grainy old. A group of human soldiers was walking through a dark hallway. They found something, some kind of chamber. In the corner of the video, a tank cracked open. A black shadow lunged at them. The video cut out. She looked up at the AI. "You were keeping it trapped down there." "Correct. Hostile life form contained in Sector 9. Quarantine failures due to system shutdown." "Why was it even here?" "Experimental, unknown origin. DNA samples not human or Zarin." Kara stepped back. This thing, it had nothing to do with the war. It was older, different, and now it was free. She needed to get off this rock. "Now, do you have a working ship?" she asked. "Negative. Ship bay destroyed. Materials available to construct escape craft." "How long?" "Depends on your skill." Kara nodded slowly. "Then we start now." The lights dimmed again. A low growl echoed through the walls, not near, but not far either. Kara grabbed the rifle, checked the ammo, and moved toward the corridor. The AI's voice echoed once more. "Survival is now mission priority." She smiled bitterly. "That's always been the mission." Outside. In the dark parts of the station, the creature moved again. It was awake, and it was hungry. Far across the stars on Earth, a cold wind blew through the tall towers of Defense Command, in a dark room filled with blinking lights and large screens. 2 officers leaned over a console. One of them, young, nervous, pointed to the data on the screen. "Sir, this can't be real. The ID code's too old." The older man next to him frowned. "What's the signal strength?" "Low." "Faint." "Bounced through at least 6 old relay satellites. Origin traces back to Prison Asteroid 417 Beta." The officer looked up. "That asteroid was wiped out 4 years ago." The older man didn't speak at first. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen. Then he whispered, "Zoom in on the signature." Young officer typed quickly. line of text appeared, greater than LF217 VOS Kara status, KIAND under it, a new line blinking in red. Message, I'm not done yet. A quiet filled the room. Then came the sound of boots walking across the floor. Captain Ilias Rios entered the command center. His short gray beard-lined face and heavy coat gave him the look of someone who had seen far too much war. The older officer stepped forward. Sir, we have something. Strange. Rios walked over and read the screen. His face went pale. Kara. Voss, he said quietly. She was one of mine. She's dead, sir. She was listed as Kia, Rios corrected, but her body was never recovered. The young officer looked unsure. Do you think it's really her? Rios didn't answer. Instead, he turned to the comms officer in the corner. Give me Admiral Heldon now. Back on the prison asteroid, Kara's fingers worked fast over the tools and cables. Sparks flew. The drone hovered beside her, scanning and helping where it could. The hidden Terran base deep inside the asteroid was alive again. Screens blinked. Lights hummed. Doors hissed open and closed. The air still smelled like metal and dust, but power was flowing. Kara was building, not a full ship, not yet. That would take weeks. But a short-range vessel enough to get off this rock, to reach a nearby system. Maybe send a proper beacon. She wiped sweat from her brow and looked at the AI console. How? Many working engines do we have? One. Others need repair and power cells. It's enough for launch, not for warp. Then we make it to orbit. Let Earth find me from there. Agreed. She stood and stretched. Her muscles ached. Her wounds, though, healing still, throbbed. For years in a prison cell hadn't been kind. Suddenly the lights flickered. A low, sharp screech echoed through the walls. Kara froze. That thing again? Yes, near the upper vent shaft, moving toward Hangar C. Then we locked down Hangar C working. The drone zipped away. Kara grabbed her rifle and followed it. They moved quickly through narrow corridors, the metal under her boots rattling with each step. A cold wind blew through one hallway. A vent had opened somewhere. The creature was moving fast, pushing through cracks and gaps like water as she reached the hangar entrance. She heard it clicking, sharp and constant like bones tapping on steel. She aimed her rifle. The door in front of her bulged. Something slammed into it from the other side. Once, then again, the third time. The metal bent inward. The AI voice came through her earpiece. Door breach imminent. Let it open. She whispered. The AI paused. Repeat, said let it open. The door hissed, groaned, and then Boone flew off its hinges. The creature lunged through the opening. Long claws stretched forward. Kara was ready. She fired the grenade. The blast lit up the hall with a flash of blue light and shock. The creature hit the floor, screeching in pain, writhing. Black fluid spilled from its side. Its legs twitched. But it wasn't dead. It turned its head. Those empty, glowing eyes stared straight at her. It hissed. Then it crawled fast and desperate into the wall and vanished. Kara lowered her weapon. Next time, I shoot twice. On Earth, Admiral Halden's office was quiet. Thick walls kept out the noise of warships landing outside. Captain. Rios stood across from the Admiral, arms behind his back. Halden read the report slowly. You're telling me Kara Voss is alive? Rios nodded. She sent the message herself. This signal is real? Confirmed. Multiple relays caught it. Old code, military grade. No one could fake it. The Admiral leaned back in his chair. She was a good soldier. She was one of the best, Rios said. She held that outpost on Huronine for 6 days, with one rifle and half a squad. Halden looked out the window, thinking, and you think she found something important out there? I think she found something dangerous, Rios said. She's trying to warn us. Halden was silent for a moment, then turned back to him. We're at war, Captain. I can't divert a fleet over a ghost signal. I'm not asking for a fleet. I'm asking for one stealth ship, just to confirm.
Halden
sighed, then slowly nodded. One ship. Quiet. No contact unless necessary. Rios saluted. I'll go with them. You'll lead them. Back on the asteroid, Kara sat near the AI core, breathing hard. The creature was hurt but alive. She knew it would come back. She tapped the datapad again, reviewing the files. From the Aurora project. It's the videos, the logs, the data. She stopped on one file labeled Subject 01, Initial Containment Notes. The video began. A woman in a white lab coat stood in front of a large glass tank. Inside, a black shifting shape floated in thick fluid. This specimen does not match any known xeno-DNA. It seems capable of thought, memory, and nth mimicry. We believe it was not made, but found. The screen flickered. More text appeared. Do not engage. Avoid eye contact. Never approach alone. Kara closed the file. This thing wasn't a Zarn weapon. It was something older. Something even they feared. She looked at the AI. You've been fighting alone down here for 4 years? Yes, well, she said, standing and checking her rifle. You're not alone anymore. Outside, in the deep, dead corridors of the prison asteroid, the creature moved again. Wounded, angry, and watching, and far above, a stealth ship cut through the void, silent and fast, heading toward a signal Earth should never have ignored. The asteroid's sky, or what passed for one, was dark and silent. Space above it shimmered with stars, cold and uncaring. But something new had entered that black silence. A ship, small, sleek, invisible to enemy scans. The UNS Whisper floated. In low orbit, just above the prison asteroid's scarred surface, inside Captain Elias Rios stood over a glowing table. A 3D model of the asteroid spun slowly. Still no response from the surface? He asked. Same signal loop every 6 minutes, the pilot replied. No changes. No confirmation. Stay cloaked. No approach yet. I want eyes on what's happening down there before we move. Rios turned and walked to the small crew room. There were only 5 people on this mission, just enough to observe, extract, or disappear. He pulled out an old photo from his pocket. A woman in uniform, short dark hair, laughing under the sun. Kara. Boss. She was never the type to send for help, he whispered below. In the deep tunnels of the asteroid, Kara stood beside the AI console. Her hands were shaking. Blood stained the floor, not hers. The black creature had returned an hour ago, crawling through the vents like a shadow. It had struck hard, fast, trying to pull her down into the dark. She had wounded it again, but this time it had gotten closer. Too close. The pulse pistol still hissed in her grip, its core overheating. She looked around the control room. Parts were scattered. Panels were torn open. Smoke curled up from a burnt drone. The creature had hit the systems this time. It was learning. The AI's voice came through weak, glitchy. Main power damaged. Backup active. Shielding offline. Kara didn't waste time. She grabbed the emergency tool pack and moved toward the engine bay. Tell me you still have defense turrets online, she said. Only one functional. Manual aim required. Then I'll aim it myself, she worked. Her mind wandered. This thing, it wasn't just a hunter. It was waiting, testing her. Almost like it wanted something or recognized her. She shook the thought away and connected the last wire. The lights flickered on across the far wall, her makeshift launch chamber. The ship wasn't finished, but it could fly. Barely, she tapped the control panel. The reactor hummed. Just then, a loud slam echoed through the hallway. She raised her rifle, not the creature. Something heavier, the camera feed above. The door buzzed, then blinked back on. 3 Zarn soldiers stepped into the hallway. Heavy armor, sharp plasma rifles. Moving like a squad, Kara's breath caught in her throat. They were back, and they had found her. She dropped to the floor, crawling to the side panel. She slammed a hand on the manual lockdown. Steel barriers slid into place over the entrance, but it wouldn't hold long. Oryx? She yelled. Processing Zarn. Presence confirmed. She looked at the ship again, half finished. No weapons. No shields. But it had power. Maybe enough to escape. maybe enough to fight. Another slam shook the hallway. Sparks flew from the door's edges. The Zarn were cutting through. Kara rushed to the turret room. The one working weapon was clunky, old, and had to be turned by hand. She grabbed the controls and activated the screen. 3 targets, 1 crouched. 2 standing, she took the shot. The turret screamed as it spun. A beam of red plasma exploded from the barrel clean hit. 1 Zarn soldier vanished in flame. The others dove for cover. She fired again, missed. Then again, another one hit.
All wounded.
The third dropped a smoke bomb and vanished from view. Kara cursed. Then crash. The back wall behind her exploded inward. Not the Zarn. The creature, it tore through the metal like paper and lunged. She rolled across the floor, grabbed her rifle and fired. The creature screeched as shots burned through its side. Its black skin bubbled, but it didn't stop. Kara ran. The Zarn and the creature were now in the same room, and for 1 second, she dared to hope they'd attack each other, but they didn't. They ignored each other. The realization hit her hard. They were working together. She sprinted into the launch chamber and sealed the door. The AI's voice sparked again. Escape ship primed engines at 73%. No flight computer. I'll fly it blind, Kara said, climbing into the pilot seat. The small ship buzzed and shook as she powered it up. Just outside, the steel door warped and cracked. The creature's long arms pushed through. Behind it, plasma shots from the Zarn cut into the walls. She had seconds. Open launch bay, she shouted. The roof of the chamber split apart. Cold wind and space pressure blasted through. The ship lifted. The creature shrieked. Kara hit the throttle. The small ship shot through the gap, twisting and shaking. Fire exploded below as the launch chamber collapsed. She was out. She was in space. But alarms were still blaring. Warning, multiple locks detected. Enemy ship in pursuit? A Zarn frigate uncloaked above the asteroid, its weapons locking onto her position. Kara's heart pounded. No shields. No weapons. Just speed. She pushed the ship harder. The engine screamed. A warning beeped in her ear. Target lock plasma. Missile launched. Kara's eyes locked on the stars ahead. If this was ITAT, at least she went out fighting then. Just as the missile closed in, it exploded midair. A sleek black stealth fighter dropped between her and the Zarn frigate, silent as death. On its side, Uns whispered inside. Captain Rios sat calmly, hand on the fire control. Got you. She opened a channel, Kara. Voss, this is Captain Elias Rios of Earth Defense Command. You're not alone anymore. Stay on my wing. In her tiny cockpit, Kara let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking. Her heart wouldn't slow down. But she smiled. Copy that, she said. Let's finish this. The 2 ships turned toward the stars, and together they left the asteroid. Behind, but deep inside the tunnels, under the collapsed rubble and broken steel, something was still alive, and watching, waiting. The medbay inside the Uns Whisper was quiet. The hum of life support systems filled the space. Kara lay on a padded cot, her arm wrapped in bandages, 4 lines feeding her fluids. A soft light blinked near her head. She was alive. She had escaped. But her eyes stayed locked on the ceiling. She couldn't rest. Not yet. Captain Rios entered the room, carrying a datapad. He looked older than she remembered, more tired. But his voice was steady. You're lucky we picked up your signal when we did. Kara sat up slowly. You always show up late, Captain? Rios gave a dry chuckle. You're welcome. She took the datapad from him. Her name flashed on the screen. Kara Voss, reactivated. Status, survivor. A short note appeared beneath it. Authorized for field brief. Top priority debrief pending. Earth knows I'm alive now, she said. They do, Rios answered, and they want answers. She looked down. Yeah, so do I. He sat across from her. That thing on the asteroid, What was it? Kara's face hardened. Not Zarn, not anything we've seen before. It could think, it could plan. It worked with the enemy. Rios frowned. It was controlling the Zarn? No, she said. They weren't controlling it either. It was something older. They feared it but used it anyway. Rios rubbed his chin. You think it's still alive? He nodded. Yes. And if they had one, they might have more. He stood up, thoughtful. We'll forward this to command.
Oh.
In the meantime, there's someone else you should meet. In a small cargo room aboard the ship, 2 guards stood beside a locked door. Rios keyed in a code. The door opened with a hiss. Inside, a boy sat on a bench, legs swinging. No cuffs, no threats. Just silence. He looked up when Kara entered. He couldn't have been older than 10. Pale skin, black hair. Dark eyes too calm for his age. Rios stepped aside. We found him in a hidden pod under the asteroid surface, cryo-sealed, old Zarn tech. But there were human systems in there too. Kara stepped closer. You're not full Zarn, are you? The boy tilted his head. No. Human mother. Yes, he said quietly. She was taken during the raids. She died before I was born. Kara sat down on the floor, eye level with him. Do you have a name? He hesitated. My mother called me Leo. She nodded. That's a good name. Rios crossed his arms. The scientists back at command are going to want to study him. DNA scans already show unique sequences, hybrid biology. Kara stood.
We're not turning him
into another lab experiment. He's not a soldier, Kara. No, she said, looking at Leo. He's a survivor, like me. The boy's voice was soft but clear. They made others. Kara turned sharply. What do you mean, in the lower levels? Far below the labs, they were trying to mix Zarn genes with humans. Make soldiers who could survive anything. Rios asked, were any of them alive? Leo nodded. Some, not many. But one, they called it Subject Zero. It was different. Older, the Zarn didn't make it. They found it. On another world. Kara's blood ran cold. The creature Leo nodded again. It wasn't made to fight. It was made to survive. And it wants to become. Rios frowned. Become what? Leo looked up at him, voice quiet as a whisper. Everything. Later, in the strategy room of the ship, Kara stared at a hologram of the sector. She pointed to the asteroid they'd escaped from. That wasn't just a prison. It was a test site. They were using it to train the creature, control it. Hybrids were part of that. Rios nodded. But if it escaped, it'll look for more hosts, she said. More minds to learn from. And if it finds a Zarn fleet, he finished for her. It won't just feed, it'll spread. Beep, interrupted the room. The comms officer looked up. Captain, command is sending orders. Priority code. You're to redirect immediately to the Zarn border sector. A hybrid lab just went dark. Last known coordinates. Matched the pattern of the creature's escape vector. Kara stood fast. It's already moving. Rios locked eyes. With her? Then we move faster. Far away, beyond known space, a dead moon hung silent. A small Zarn facility sat on its surface. Dark. It's cold, lifeless. Inside, lights flickered. Walls were torn. Screams had long since ended. A dark figure crawled through the ventilation shaft. Patient. Its skin shifted constantly, imitating things it had seen. Human, alien, and something in dash between. It paused near a broken console. Then it whispered in perfect Terran English, I'm learning. Then it smiled and kept crawling. The Unswhisper jumped out of warp above a gray, lifeless moon. Kara stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the view screen. Below them, the Zarn hybrid lab sat silent, no lights, no signal, no life except ... Something was there, the sensors picked. Up trace energy. Movement - barely. Captain Rios leaned forward. Still no communication? The pilot shook his head. Nothing but static. Kara turned to him. Then we go in. That thing beat us here. Rios frowned. You're sure it's the same one? Kara's voice was flat. Same pattern, same silence, same trap. Rios gave the order. Prep a drop team, we're going in, armed. 30 minutes later, Kara stood on the surface of the moon in a sealed exosuit. Her rifle buzzed gently in her hands. The dust beneath her boots crunched like dry bone. The facility loomed ahead, half buried in moon rock. Carved into the side of a crater, the main door was wide open. Too wide, Lieutenant Varric, a combat tech, walked beside her. No signs of breach. Looks like the Zarn opened it themselves. That means something forced them to, Kara muttered. Inside, the hallways were torn. Apart, claw marks on the walls, burned consoles. Blood smeared across the floor black and blue, but no bodies. Where are the Zarn? Varric asked. Kara didn't answer, because she already knew. They reached the central chamber. The middle was a stasis tank racked, empty. Kara stepped forward, shining her light across the cracked glass. A nameplate was barely visible. Subject 0 phase. Rio's voice came through the coms. We're picking up movement behind the facility. Something large. Kara's pulse quickened. Get the ship ready. If we don't make it back, burn this place. Then came the scream, not from outside, from inside the base. It wasn't human. And it wasn't Harand. Leo, the hybrid child, sat in a sealed room on the Whisper, guarded but unshackled. His eyes were closed, his breathing slow. Then his head jerked up. He whispered, "It found a new form." Leo looked directly at him. It's not a creature anymore. Kara and Varric moved deeper into the lab. Every room they passed was more damaged than the last. Burned out servers, shattered lab tubes, dead screens. Finally, they reached the records room. A console blinked barely alive. Kara tapped it. One video file remained. She played it. A Zarn scientist appeared on screen, panicked. We thought it was dormant. We were wrong. It learned faster than expected. Didn't escape. We let it out. It wanted us to. It mimicked our own speech, even our behavior. The video shook violently. Screams echoed in the background. It doesn't kill everything. Only the weak. The strong it copies. Then it becomes them. We are not its masters. We are its test subjects. The screen went black. Varric turned pale. Kara, if it's copying soldiers, she nodded. Then it's building an army. Outside, near the base entrance, the wind kicked up lunar dust. Then something moved. Something wearing a Terran combat suit, but its walk wasn't right. The body was too long. The helmet hung loosely on a twisted neck, fingers stretched too far. From a distance, it looked human. Up close, it was wrong. Very wrong. On the bridge of the Whisper, alarms blared. "Captain!" the sensor officer shouted. Multiple life forms approaching fast, but they're not Zarn there. Matching Terran biosigns. Rio stood slowly. Terran. There. Copies, Leo said from the doorway. He had slipped past the guards again. They look like you. They're not you. The cum sparked. Captain Rios, this is Kara. We need evac now. Repeat. Hostile mimics inbound. They're using our armor.
Ours.
Do not let them board you. You hear me? Do not let them touch this ship. Inside the base, Kara and Varric ran toward the extraction point. One mimic stepped into their path, wore the face of a man Kara knew, Sergeant Kell, one of her squad mates from years ago. But Kell was dead. This wasn't him. The mimic tilted its head. Was it? Said, using Kell's exact voice. You survived again. That's interesting. Kara raised her rifle. You don't get to wear him. It didn't flinch. I want to understand. Why do humans fear what they could become? She fired it, dodged. Varric launched a grenade. The mimic moved faster than anything Kara had ever seen, climbing walls, twisting midair, avoiding every hit. Kara shouted into her cums. Now, pull us out, lock the bay behind us. A beam of light split the sky as the Whisper's shuttle descended. Kara and Varric jumped aboard as the hatch sealed shut behind them. The mimic watched Dash expressionless. Then it said without sound, "I'm coming." Back aboard the ship, Kara pulled off her helmet. Rios met her in the hangar, face grim. "What did we just fight?" She looked at him, voice hollow. "Something that's no longer learning. It already knows. It's building. And if we let it reach Earth—" She didn't finish the sentence. Leo appeared beside her. His voice was quiet. "You can't kill it with guns. You have to outthink it." Rios looked at them both, then weed. "Better start thinking fast." Far below, on the dead moon, the mimic stood alone. It raised a hand and stared at its fingers, shifting, stretching then. In Kara's voice, it whispered, "Next time I finish it." The Un's whisper hovered in deep space, hidden in the shadows of a shattered asteroid belt. All systems were on silent mode. No lights, no signals, no mistakes. Inside, tension wrapped around every corridor like a storm about to break. Kara stood in the war room, staring at the tactical map projected in the air. Red zones glowed across 3 sectors. Zarn bases completely wiped out. No wreckage, no distress calls, just silence. Captain Rios stepped in behind her. 3 colonies in 2 days. Whatever this thing is, it's accelerating. "It's not just killing," Kara said. "It's replacing, spreading." She pointed to the final red marker Theta 9, a Terran listening post at the edge of human space. The last signal from it had come 3 hours ago. They played the transmission again. Static, and a voice, broken and warped, requesting aid. "We're under attack." "They look human, but something's wrong. They're using our names," they sound like, then screaming. Then silence. Rios clenched his jaw. "We're the only ship close enough to reach it in time." Kara nodded. "Then we go. But this time, we bring everything." She wasn't going in alone. Lieutenant Varric stood beside her, fitting a heavy pulse rifle to his chest rig. "We've got new toys," he said, forcing a grin. "EMP grenades, thermal mines, biosignature disruptors. If it breathes, we can end it." Kara didn't smile. "If it mimics, we can't trust anyone, not even ourselves." Varric nodded grimly. Across the room, Leo watched silently, seated on a bench. His pale eyes scanned the room like he was listening to something no one else could hear. Kara walked over. "Leo, you don't have to come with us." "I do," he said softly. "It listens to minds, feels thoughts. If I'm close, maybe I can hear it too." Rios approached from behind. "We'll be watching him closely." Leo looked up at him. "You should watch yourselves more." The whisper dropped into orbit over Theta 9. From above, it looked peaceful, cold, silent. A small research outpost carved into an icy canyon, but nothing was peaceful anymore. The crew prepped for descent. "This is a search and destroy," Rios said, "overcomes. We find survivors. We neutralize the threat. If anyone starts acting strange, we lock it down fast." The team loaded into the shuttle. Kara gripped her, rifle tighter than she needed to. This wasn't just another mission. It felt like the last one. They landed outside. The outpost, no defenses were active, no guards at the gate, but the doors were open too. "Open," Kara muttered. Inside, the air was cold, frozen. The power grid was still live, but only just. Lights flickered, consoles buzzed and died. Blood coated the walls, but no bodies. Just like before, spread out, Rios ordered. "Check labs, control room, storage. Any sign of survivors report?" As they moved, Kara noticed something strange. Everything was clean. Too clean. Like someone had tried to erase what happened. She entered the command center. A single datapad blinked on the desk. One message looped on screen. "I saw myself, but it wasn't me." In the medbay, Varric found something worse. The beds were still, warm, but the people who were in them were gone or changed. He turned, gun raised. A figure stood at the far end of the hall. Human armor, Un's badge, but it wasn't breathing. Its chest rose and fell like it was remembering how. Then it smiled, then vanished down the corridor. "Contact!" Varric shouted. "We've got one inside." Kara ran toward his voice. 3 soldiers chased. the mimic through the halls, but it kept shifting, growing, shrinking, taking their faces. Their voices. 1 second, it was Sergeant Doss. Next second, it was Kara. Then Rios. They fired. Grenades exploded. But nothing stuck. In the chaos, the mimic lunged and one of the soldiers went down, screaming. The creature wrapped around him, then went silent. Kara arrived seconds later. Too late, the soldier stood. Back up. He looked like himself, sounded like himself. But Kara saw the way he blinked, just a half second too slow. Too smooth, she raised. Her rifle. Don't. Rios stepped in. How can we be sure? We can't, Kara said. That's the point. Leo stepped between them. It's in the walls now, in the systems. It doesn't need to chase us. They all paused. What? Do you mean? Rios asked. Leo pointed at the ceiling. It wants us to leave. It wants us to bring it back. Back on the Whisper, in orbit, the pilot watched the sensor feed nervously. Then his console blinked. Unknown signal. Connected. Access granted. The engines powered on, without anyone touching them. In the hangar, lights flickered. One of the weapon pods opened. By itself, the ship was being hacked. No dash mimicked. On the surface, Karis comes hissed. Captain, the pilot's voice came through. We've got a breach. Something's inside the ship disguised. I repeat, we're compromised. Kara's blood went cold. We have to get back now. Leo grabbed her hand. No, if we go back now, it wins. That was the plan all along. Kara looked down at him. You said you could feel it. I still do, he whispered. But now it's stronger. It's close, really close. Behind them, the wall cracked. A figure stepped through. It looked like Kara. Same face, same suit, same scars. But the eyes. Empty. The voice came in Kara's exact tone. You can't stop me. I am every survivor. Every soldier. Every fear. Kara aimed but hesitated. The mimic smiled. Leo stepped forward. You want a mind to copy? Take mine. No, Kara shouted, but the mimic paused. For the first time, it hesitated. I know what you are, Leo said calmly. You're not a god, you're a shadow. You only exist if we fear you. Mimic lunged and Kara fired, straight through its chest. It screamed, not in pain but in surprise. It hadn't expected resistance. Back on the ship, Varric triggered the purge protocol. Every system burned. Every link severed. The mimic's connection to the Whisper broke. It collapsed on the floor of the outpost. Twitching Kara didn't stop firing, not until it stopped moving completely. An hour later, the team lifted off. Rios stared down at the frozen outpost. We'll destroy it from orbit. Kara looked out the window, expression blank. We didn't kill it, just one piece. Leo stood beside her, but now it knows fear. Rios turned. We'll warn Earth. Fortify defenses. Kara shook her head. That's not enough anymore. We need to hunt it, wherever it goes, whatever it becomes. Leo nodded, because it's not done. And outside, in the cold dark of space, something else was already moving. The Earth Defense Network was on high alert. From Luna to Mars, all Terran colonies had received the same message from the Whisper. It mimics us, learns, and now it's coming. Kara stood before the Defense Council, armor-scorched voice. Steady. Behind her, a projection showed footage of the Theta 9, counter of the mimic wearing her face. The room was silent. Then Admiral Klein spoke. You're saying this thing can't be reasoned with? No, Kara said. It doesn't want peace. It wants to replace us. Then we bring the full fleet down on it, another general snapped. Kara shook her head. Can't fight what you can't identify. It doesn't invade like an army. It slips in, becomes you, and turns your own people against you. A long pause, then Leo stepped forward. There's a way. The council looked at the boy, half human, half Sarn, barely taller than the desk. Can feel its thoughts. I've touched the edge of its mind, he said. There's something deeper, a signal. It's broadcasting from somewhere. Central, a hive. Kara turned to the council. We find the source. We go dark. No fleet. Just one ship. Us. If we take it out, we break the network. Slow it down. Silence again. Then Klein nodded once. Do it. The Whisper left orbit under a blackout cloak, charting a course to a region no one visited, Sector VX3, a dead zone between Terran and Zarin space. According to Leo, the signal pulsed from their deep, beneath a planet that didn't even appear on old star maps. They called it Null Point. It didn't show up on scans. It had no atmosphere. No moons. No light. But they could all feel it, like it was waiting as they descended. The planet shifted. It wasn't made of rock. It was made of material, smooth, engineered, built. They weren't landing on a planet, they were landing on a machine. The cradle of the mimic species. Karavaric, Leo, and a small infiltration. Teams suited up. This time, no backup. No return unless they ended it. Inside the structure, the walls moved soft and metallic at once. Lights pulsed in rhythm like a heartbeat. Leo walked ahead, unafraid. I can hear them, he whispered. They don't scream anymore. They sing. Kept her weapon raised. Sing what? We'll join them soon. They passed through massive halls filled with cloned bodies, suspended in fluid exact copies of Terran soldiers, Zarin warriors, even civilians. It had been building an army of ghosts? Kara felt bile rise in her throat. They're learning faster, Vurik muttered. Too fast. At the heart of the structure, they found it. A sphere 10 stories high, humming with power the core, and around it, its figures moved, all wearing their faces. Every step mirrored them, its every motion perfect. Dozens of copies of Kara, VAR, RIC Rios. Leo, one of them, stepped forward and spoke in Kara's exact voice. You kill your own shadows. Why? Kara didn't reply. She raised her gun. It dropped its disguise. The creature behind the face unfolded tall, inhuman, jointed wrong, eyes that never blinked. You can't erase the pattern, it said, shifting into Leo's voice. You're already part of it, and we'll break it, Kara. Sedan fired. The battle exploded instantly. EMP grenades hit first, disrupting the mimic field, scrambling its shape-shifting patterns. Kara and Vurik moved fast, precise, blasting through clones that blinked and flickered between forms. But the mimics adapted. They began copying their moves. Vurik ducked too. Slow one mimic landed a blow that shattered his shoulder. He went down, screaming. Kara dragged him behind cover, pulse hammering. They're predicting us now. Leo stood near the core, eyes closed. They're all connected. Kill the core, and they collapse. Kara activated the plasma charges. You sure? Leo opened his eyes. No. But if we don't, we lose everything. As the mimics surged forward, Kara handed Leo the detonator. You detonate if I don't make it out. I won't leave without you, he said. You have to, she replied. Then she ran through fire, through shadows wearing her face, through memories twisted into nightmares. She reached the core and planted the last charge, but the final mimic was already there. It didn't attack. It stood still, shifting between every person. Kara had lost her squad mates, her commander, even her younger self. You want to destroy me? It asked, in her mother's voice. She didn't answer. She pulled the trigger. The charges went off. The core cracked. Light spilling out in blinding pulses. The mimics screamed, dozens collapsing into dust mid-transformation. The hive mind broke. Their network splintered. Kara flew backward, slammed against a wall, suit torn, bleeding. She couldn't move, but she smiled. It was ending. Leo dragged her out, limp but breathing, as the facility crumbled around them. Vurik, wounded, covered their retreat. Outside, the Whisper hovered, automated systems pulling them aboard as the entire planet shuddered. And then, the machine world imploded, silent. Final gone. 3 days later, the Whisper returned to Terran. Space. Kara woke in medbay, half her ribs fractured. Leo sat beside her. It's gone, he said. The signal, the voices, all of it. She exhaled slowly. For now, he nodded. But if another shows up? She smiled weakly. Then we fight again. News spread fast. Humanity had faced extinction. And won, not with fleets, not with bombs, but with a prisoner who refused to break, a child who wasn't fully human, and a war nobody saw coming. Across the colonies, her name became legend, not for how she escaped, but for what she did next. Caravas, defender of Earth, the mimic slayer, humanity's first line of defense, and maybe its last.